the #1 long-form writer that helps SEOs outrank competition at the click of a button using real-time research and NLP. Start ranking content today with content@scale.ai.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Hi everyone, yes, so thank you for staying for the last talk before the keynote. I really appreciate it. But as I said, yeah, I'm Andy Frobisher. I work at Digital Loft, and I'm going to be talking about basically how to screw up your e-commerce site when doing a replatform. But really quickly, first of all, I just wanted to quickly explain who I am. So I am the head of SEO at Digital Loft. I've worked in digital marketing now for nearly 9 years. I've worn many hats in that time, from account manager through to project manager, strategist, SEO manager, to the role I am in today. And when I did first start working out in the industry, I was working mainly on site replatforms, and I've probably over the years been involved to some capacity in close to 100 of those. And I am also the dad to April 2023's brightonSEO baby, Margot, who you may have seen around also this week as well. So just quickly what we'll cover. So why businesses need to replatform, how they can fuck up, and what we can do to prevent them from going wrong in the first place. So why do businesses need to replatform? So generally, they need to replatform for maybe one or more of these reasons. Maybe there's a lack of marketing control on the website. Maybe key marketing pages are hard-coded and it takes weeks to do a change request, and there's a genuine need for marketing to take control over that process, so they need to replatform. Maybe the existing site just has a lack of functionality and it's not doing what they need it to do, and the most sensible option is to go down a replatform route. Maybe they're on outdated technology. Maybe their website's 10 years old and they need to replatform to modernize, or maybe they're on Magento 1 and they need to go on to Magento 2 because there's security reasons why. Or maybe it's just really old and that implementation now is out of date. It's not meeting today's best practice standards. Or maybe simply they've outgrown it as a business. Maybe that business has expanded, done really well over the last few years, and now they need something that is going to meet their needs for the next 5 to 10 years. Or maybe new management has come in, and quite simply they want change. They like to use something else, and that's what they're going to do. Or simply they're going for a rebrand process, and quite often when they do that, they might reach out to other agencies, and they might have a preferred choice of platform to do that on. So now we know kind of the main reasons why we need to do that. How do we fuck them up? So I'm just going to talk you through a few experiences of replatforms that I've been involved in, and that's either from a client perspective or whether the clients later come on board with us because they're looking to recover those areas which they've lost from the replatform. So I've got a client example here. They're in the plumbing trade industry. They actually replatformed very recently in June. You can see here, that's the date they went live in the middle of June, and immediately lost close to half the clicks. At first, you might think maybe that's seasonal, but when we overlay that with the same period the previous year, you can see actually it's quite the opposite. There's an actual seasonal growth that they've missed opportunity out, so maybe the timing of the replatform might not have been the best time. What happened here essentially is the business got bought out by a rival, and the current marketing team, development team were sadly let go. We lost our contract because of that, and they brought everything in-house, and they wanted the website on their platform that they use for their other website assets. This next example is a client in the soft furnishings industry. So they replatformed in February 2022. And it actually took them over a year to actually decide that they needed SEO experts to help them recover those losses they'd seen since they replatformed. The main reasons that they've seen losses is during that replatform process, they're using various third-party tools that are producing a lot of JavaScript, mass amounts of cannibalization through multiple filters in the navigation facets that have created multiple variants of every single filter that you can imagine. So we're currently just working through, still in that discovery phase, working through all of those problems that we're looking to get fixed. This next example is quite similar. This was an e-commerce business that came to us. They specialize in fragrances. They replatformed in March last year, and this is when we actually pitched to them. Sadly, we were a little bit too expensive for them, so they went elsewhere, but they still haven't seen that growth recovery that we'd expect 8 months later. Again here, there was some large-scale technical issues. There was also lots of missing meta tags that weren't added in during that migration. So they were in a little bit of a mess. And this last example is an active client of mine. You can see here, this was only a couple of months ago. And the reason why there's 2 colors there is because they also did a top-level domain change at the same time. So the reason they've lost a third of their traffic is because they chose at that time to move from .co.uk to .com as well as replatform. I'll go into a little bit of reasons why that's not a good idea a little bit later on. But yeah, that one again was down to a management change, and that's the approach that they wanted to take it. So, what do all these main things have in common? Is my next question. Almost always, there's going to be similar reasons why they fuck up. It's quite often URL changes. If the URL file path and file name has changed, then redirects alone aren't going to solve that problem. Ideally, you want to keep URL changes to an absolute minimum. Content changes or missing content, quite often businesses don't realize the importance of why that content is there, and they'll quite often prune content in that process or miss content out altogether when migrating pages over. The removal of internal linking also happens because of that, and that could be site-wide removal of internal links like breadcrumbs or important CTAs at the bottom of a page, or it could be internal linking within page copy itself. Changes to the site structure as well. Quite often we see that they'll make structural changes as well at the same time. Again, could be related to URL changes. Or they've just poorly implemented the redirects, left them to the last minute, didn't realize the importance of them. And when I was starting this presentation out, I also kind of wanted to know what other people's big challenges were when working on site replatforms. So I reached out on Twitter or X, not sure how we're going to call it these days. And just over a third of people felt that SEO was always an afterthought when replatforming. Just under a third said, actually, it's the lack of SEO understanding in the business that's the issue. 25% said, well, they just ignore our advice when we give it. They do what they think's best. And then just under 10% said that actually our client doesn't think they need SEO as part of this replatform. And I was also looking around Twitter, and I came across Darth Autocrat, also known as Lyndon. You will see him a lot in these slides, so apologies. He does seem to be the authority on the subject on Twitter. And he was talking about SEO nightmares, and it resonated with me because I do think sometimes replatforms can end up being an SEO nightmare. My team often shudder at just the thought of hearing the word replatform. And he's experienced a lot of this himself. And yeah, SEO is often an afterthought. It is often brought a little bit too late into the project. Traditionally, it was just that thing that happens at the end. Maybe businesses don't understand the importance of needing it in the first place, and that's also maybe why they ignore the advice, because they've not been educated enough on the importance of it. But it happens to me all the time, and I give out advice, and they take it, and they go down a different route anyway. But that's not the number one issue that I believe happens why we fuck these up. Darth was kind enough to also reply to my poll, and he said he voted the last option because it covered overlapped the previous three, and that's essentially what I believe is the biggest issue. It's that lack of SEO understanding throughout the business. So the number one issue that I experience when working with e-commerce businesses within site replatforms is that lack of understanding itself as to why SEO needs to be so heavily involved. Business owners obviously sometimes just don't understand the negative impact that it could have on their organic visibility and revenue. Quite often they'll invest huge amounts in development, design, UX, but SEO is always that little afterthought at the bottom with very little investment. Although what I've seen is the higher your client's budget, the more likely they are to understand the importance of an SEO-focused replatform. Why is that the case? Generally speaking, the more money a client invests in SEO, the greater they will focus on that return of investment. And it's that return of investment that drives e-commerce businesses to treat SEO seriously when replatforming their website. So how do we prevent it all from going wrong? So even if you're in-house, even if you're a client and you've got a small budget, medium budget, large budget, you can follow this one piece of advice. As SEOs, we should own the project management of all e-commerce websites on replatforms and migrations. Businesses want to see a return of investment, so make sure an SEO is involved in running that project. Now, this is a replatform that I worked on very heavily at the beginning of the year. Went live on January the 10th, and we can see there that we've seen steady month-on-month growth pretty much since then in the months afterwards. This company sold vehicle insurance. All of their marketing pages were on a bespoke system that was all hard-coded. They had no control over it, so they brought those marketing pages into WordPress, and then those product pages where the e-commerce happens was then on a subdomain. And it allowed them to essentially control the content on the website. But we took ownership of that project for them from start to finish. So what did we do? First of all, we provided forecasting. So I've seen a few talks today on the stage on forecasting, and we said to our client, look, if you don't involve us, if you don't do SEO as part of this replatform, this is what you could expect to happen. This is going to be the baseline. However, this is what will likely happen if you get us involved from the start. They also understood the importance of return of investment because they'd invested in us and they didn't want to see that investment go down the drain. Like I said, we took ownership of the project management, and we built a robust project roadmap and SEO checklist. We ensured that everyone knew their roles and responsibilities throughout that project. And we ensured that URL changes, content changes, etc., were kept to an absolute minimum. Darth's here again, and he's put this really well on this second bit here during a thread. He's basically said, the more that is changed, the longer it will take to process and settle. There's more room for errors, and then it's more difficult to attribute the causes to those errors. So really, it's about minimizing as many changes as possible when you're replatforming. And the outcome was essentially the largest growth in sessions month on month once that replatform went live. So, just to wrap up what we've learned today, don't let SEO be an oversight, please. Make sure that as an SEO at that table, whether you're in-house, client-side, An SEO needs to be in that project from the very start, has a voice, and is part of that decision-making process. Invest in SEO when running an e-commerce website replatform project. Don't just think that SEO is that little bit that happens at the end. Put that investment in at the beginning. As SEOs, let's think and act a little bit more like a project manager and keep changes to a minimum. So keep URL file paths and file names the same. Try and keep content the same. Try and keep internal links the same as well. I think this is my final example from Darth. He said here, with a big stick and a lot of shouting, no one should be altering URLs, file path or file name or file extensions during a migration. Do it long before or after the move has settled. Do not do it in between. And that really resonated with me. It's like you're minimizing the risks by doing the replatform, let that settle, and then if you need to do something else, like add more technology, do a redesign, and there has to be then URL changes, do that then. Don't do it all at once. So a few top tips before we finish. I don't recommend redesigning or changing the domain at the same time. Please try and do one thing at a time. So replatform, then redesign, or replatform, then do your top-level domain change. Crawl logs can be your absolute best friend. So make sure you're crawling the live site before the project starts. You've got all of that live information. You've got a list of all the URLs, all of the metadata. You can crawl the content if you want. Get absolutely everything there. When you've got a test site, do another crawl. Crawl again once all the content is in that test site and it's ready to QA. And then crawl again once that goes live. And you can be continually checking those crawl logs to make sure that missing content, missing internal links, URLs, they all remain the same. It's amazing how you'll find that even though right before go live, URLs are all the same, and then it goes live, and somehow the URLs are different. That has happened to me before, because someone didn't select something on that go live process. So yeah, crawl logs will be your best friend. And educate the business as well and other partners on the importance of SEO as much as you can, even if you're not in a project or going for a replatform. When you have touch points with clients or other people within the business, if you're in-house, educate them on what's going on. Talk to them about the latest trends, the latest updates in Google, what John Mueller has been saying on Twitter. You know, the more that you can educate them, the more they're going to see you as that authority. And if they do come around to thinking about a replatform, they'll come to you first for advice. And then that is your chance to then go, look, you need us from the start. Let us handle this. And my last thought here is, do you know what? It's not always going to be 100% perfect. And that's okay. Sometimes there's genuine business reasons why we have to take more risks. But it's all about just minimizing those risks as much as possible in that point. And if all else fails, just follow Darth's advice and just hit them with a long, pointy stick. Why not? So, thank you very much, and yeah, thank you.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.